A few years ago, an independent developer, Andreas Ezo, decided to bring skeletal animation workflows into Blender and created an add-on called Cutout Animation Tools. This add-on allows creating skeletal animations similar to Spine or Spriter and exporting them into a game engine in JSON format. The animation examples I found look very promising, so I've decided to test the add-on myself. Spoiler alert, I was not disappointed. In fact, it greatly exceeded my expectations. For this comparison, I've drawn this cute little girl in Photoshop and animated her in Spine Pro, using most of the available features. Then I've repeated the whole process in Blender with CoTools. To make an accurate comparison, I've used exactly the same assets. The meshes and the rig structure were replicated as well. Then I compared the software features one by one, and on each round gave a point to the one that performed best. Let's go ahead and check out how they did. But first, a word of gratitude to these fantastic people. This video was made possible by them. Support us on Patreon to help us release more videos like this one. Okay, so before we can start animating our character, we need to import it into the animation software. Both Spine and CoTools offer a set of special scripts that you can download and run from the graphic software you've used to design your character. I use Photoshop, but other software options are supported as well. The script saves the image layers as separate PNGs and creates a JSON file alongside. Then you'll need to load this JSON file into Spine or Blender respectively, and the character images will arrange themselves the same way they were in Photoshop. This process takes some time to get used to, but it works well and saves you time, since you don't need to assemble the character manually later on. At this stage, I didn't notice any major differences in the workflow between Spine and CoTools. Both use the same logic, and both do a good job. Therefore, both of them deserve a point. Next, once the character has been imported, we can proceed to the mesh creation. Frankly, it took me a while to get used to this process in Blender, and I've encountered some issues along the way. For example, I've noticed that if I move the vertices of a mesh and then try to connect between them, I could get duplicates, and this is a problem. Sorry for getting into the technical stuff right from the start, but this is important. Usually, you'd want to avoid having unnecessary vertices, since they might affect the game performance. It took me a few tries, but finally I found the optimal set of actions that works pretty well. First, I create the mesh boundaries. Then, I add more vertices in the bending areas and connect between them. And only after all the vertices are created, I can start moving them around to adjust their position. This is how I managed to avoid duplicates, and the process even started to feel fun. In Spine, you have more freedom when creating a mesh. Once you've completed the mesh boundaries, you can modify the mesh as much as you like, without making any duplicates. Now, if you prefer an automatic solution, Spine can offer you the Auto Trace feature to define the mesh boundaries. Then you can press this Generate button to add some vertices inside the mesh. I still prefer the manual approach though, since it gives you more control over the mesh deformation. CoTools used to support automatic meshing in the past, but not anymore. There is another add-on that you can use instead, called Leafig. It is not free, but it's not expensive either. So, in conclusion, the process of mesh creation in CoTools is a bit less reliable than in Spine. But, since there are ways to avoid the issues and get the same results, I'll give a point to both of them. Next, I moved on to creating the bones. From the first glance, the process in CoTools looked quite similar to Spine. I just create bones one after another, on top of the images I want to influence. I discovered that I can also split the bones and change their shape and color. The only flaw that I found is that you need to rename each one of the bones manually, one by one. It might be fine for simple characters, but if you have a rig with a lot of bones and details, it can get pretty time-consuming. In Spine, you can name the bones automatically by holding the Control key and selecting the image first. The new bone will be named after the image, saving you time and effort. That makes Spine procedure a bit more efficient than CAWTools, and therefore, Spine takes this round. Once we've completed the core rig, we can proceed to the inverse kinematic constraints, or IK for short. IK constraints allow you to create an anchor for the bones, which you can move around, making the constrained bones adjust their position automatically, like shown here. This is very useful when animating characters' legs, for example. Both Spine and CAWTools support inverse kinematics, but they approach this feature a bit differently. In Spine, you can constrain up to 2 bones at the same time. If you need more than that, you can create a hierarchy of constraints, like this. To be honest, the procedure is not very intuitive, and it takes a couple of tries to get used to, but the result looks good, and it is also very reliable. You can even control the direction of the constraint by simply checking this checkbox. In Blender, it seems that you don't have any limitation of how many bones to constrain. I've tested a 15 bones IK constraint, and it worked perfectly fine. Still, I've noticed a problem while creating the IKs for the character's legs. When I move the anchor, the constrained bones can suddenly flip the direction, like this. This can give you hell while animating the walk cycle. To fix this issue, you need to add a pole target to the rig and control the knee bend direction with it. This seems to work fine, but the overall process is a bit complicated compared to Spine. Sorry CAWTools, but Spine takes this round as well. Next, I needed to bind the meshes to the bones and assign them weights. This allows you to easily deform the character images during the animation process. I found that the automatic weights calculation works really good in Blender. The hair bends very smoothly, and all I needed to do is simply bind the bones to the mesh. That's all. To achieve a similar effect in Spine, I had to use the weight smoothing option a number of times, which is less convenient. But when I needed to modify the weights for the skirt, I found that something was missing in CAWTools and Blender. The weights distribution for the skirt is a bit more sophisticated than for the rest of the meshes, and requires using the weights painting technique. Now, when you use this technique in Blender, you have to switch between the bones in order to see their influence over the mesh. And since you are not shown the whole picture, you have to keep a lot of information in mind while modifying the weights. Spine, on the other hand, gives you a full map of weights distribution with these little pie charts. You can easily see which bones have control over a certain vertex, as well as the amount of influence they have on it. Moreover, you can see the exact percentage here in the weights view, and it can be modified easily. So, to sum up, it seems like Blender handles the auto weights calculation better than Spine, but Spine gives you a whole picture of weights distribution. I feel like both have an equally solid advantage over the other, so none of them scores in this round. Now, it was time to get the rig ready for 2.5D animation. To achieve this effect, we need to make certain bones move opposite each other, like this. In Spine, this can be done using a feature called Transform Constraints. This is how you can make the front and the back of the head move in opposite directions, creating an illusion of a three-dimensional character. This also really simplifies the animation process, since we can turn the whole head with just a single bone. There is a similar feature in Blender called Transformation Constraint, which is basically the same thing. It is not part of the CAWTools, but native to Blender. The logic behind the feature is similar to Spine, and I managed to get a nice looking head turn here as well. When I finally got to test the whole rig in action, I found a similar issue I had with the position constraints in Unity. The transform constraints ignored the bone's hierarchy and used the world position of the bone instead. Luckily, this time I could fix that. Here, if you change both of the space values from world to local, it solves the problem, and the constraints behave the way you'd expect them to. Nice! So, when it comes to the transform constraints, both tools are equally good, and therefore, each one gets a point. Now when the rig is finally complete, it's time to proceed to the fun part and animate the walk cycle. Having the transform constraints working in Blender was a huge help, and I could animate the head turn in no time at all. Also, I've used the Shape Key feature to animate some of the meshes directly, and I just love the way it works. Blender gives you a wide range of tools for sculpting, and some of them are very soft and gentle, so that you can go ahead and experiment without being afraid to ruin the mesh. That really turns the FFD animation into a fun process. In Spine, there is also a tool for FFD available, called the Mesh Tools. It allows you to gently move the vertices, like so. You can even do that without changing the original mesh boundaries if you like. Also, Spine has a significant advantage over Blender. You can greatly improve your animation by applying the follow-through and overlap in action, and it will take you just a few seconds to do that. All you need to do is simply offset the animation keys, like that. Spine will wrap the animation for you and also preserve the curves. This offset mechanism will save you a huge amount of time and make your animations look a lot more professional. Unfortunately, I haven't found anything similar in Blender, so I had to go over each bone and offset them, like this. Then I had to create the keyframes manually to close the animation loop. That took me a while, and I wish there was an easier way to do that. Well, when it comes to the animation process, Spine seems to be more powerful, and therefore takes this round. Another type of animation I usually test is the ability to constrain a bone to follow a certain path. This technique allows you to easily create these kind of animations. In Spine, it can be done by using the Path Constraints feature, and actually, it exists in Blender as well. I could get similar results in both of them, and it took me about the same amount of time. It seems we have yet another draw, so let's give both Spine and Blender a point. Now let's talk about another important aspect of the character animation. If your game relies heavily on the character customization, you'll need a fast and easy way to switch between different character skins. Unfortunately, I haven't found an easy way to add a new skin to an existing character with CAD tools. The best option I could come up with was to swap the sprites folder of the project with another one. This way I could preserve the mesh deformations I've done for the skirt. Then theoretically, you can switch between the skins in the game engine through the code. Spine offers an easier solution. You can add a new skin to an existing character and switch between them in the editor. You can add as many skins as you like and even animate them differently. Spine is clearly more suited for the character customization, and therefore takes this round. Since we've already mentioned the code, let's talk about the game engines as well. Spine supports a large number of game engines, including the most popular ones. Spine runtimes are a big part of the solution. They are well documented and updated quite frequently. However, there is no official runtime for Godot for some reason, and that's unfortunate. CAD Tools, on the other hand, supports Godot, but as for the rest of the game engines, it relies on third-party runtimes instead. Basically, it gives you only two additional options. You can export your work into DragonBones format and use DragonBones runtimes, or export into Creature format and use their runtimes respectively. There was a plan to support Spine as well, but it was abandoned due to a licensing issue. Sadly, all attempts to export my work with CAD tools were unsuccessful. The DragonBones exporter would get the texture files messed up. The character images would overlap. Also, once I tested the output file in DragonBones, this was the best result that I could get, and I can't really use that. As for the Creature exporter, it would return an error that the output path is incorrect, no matter which path I gave, and I didn't find a way to fix that. That's a real shame, because I really wanted to see how this animation plays outside Blender. The last option left was to export to Godot, and since I'm using Unity, I didn't have a chance to test it. Actually, I expect it to work pretty well, since it's one of the creator's specialties. If you've tested Koa tools with Godot, please share your experience in the comments below. So, even though Spine doesn't support Godot, its export procedures are stable. Also, there is a variety of engines you can choose from, and you get official support for the runtime packages. Therefore, Spine wins this round as well. And finally, let's talk about the price of each software. Spine Professional license costs $300, and that's only if your company meets the revenue criteria. Should you reach $500,000 in revenues, you'll have to upgrade your license to Enterprise, which is even more expensive. Blender, on the other hand, is completely free. Koa Tools add-on is also free, but you can donate to the creator if you like. After all, he's done a great job. Well, Koa Tools offers a much better deal, and therefore takes the last round. In conclusion, Koa Tools feels more powerful than Dragon Bones and Unity 2D animation package combined, making it the best free alternative to Spine I've tested so far. With a little bit of patience, you can achieve incredible results in it. And it's also important to remember that Koa Tools was not created by a company with resources and funding. It was built by one guy who decided to step up and help the community. His work is not only impressive, but also very inspiring. The add-on does have a few serious flaws compared to Spine, and I think the biggest one of them is the game engine support. But that is exactly where you can step in. If you have the skills, you could write the runtimes yourself and share them with the community. This can make Koa Tools the perfect solution for all indies that cannot afford expensive software. And you can be a hero. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Join us on Patreon to support this channel. And see you in the next one.